Yeah, cold nights, I must confess, yeah. There's something in my soul that kept telling me to hold on. Even when the world turned its back on me, I knew deep inside that I wasn't meant to be bad. And I was still stay strong. Facing my life. When my faith kept me going on, I'm telling my story.
Welcome to When I Was Homeless, a podcast that shares real stories of resilience and hope. I'm your host, Gabby Cunningham, and today we're having an honest and open conversation about homelessness, not as a statistic, but as human experiences. Today we're talking to Aga, who has a wonderful story to tell. How are you today, Aga?
I'm really good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gabby, for having me here.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're all the way there in the UK. How's the weather?
It's actually really nice today, not raining for a change.
Okay. So today we're going to be exploring how domestic violence, mental health, and homelessness can often intersect in many ways we don't realize. I want to start with the different types of homelessness that people may experience. And so we get a clear idea of what homelessness actually looks like for you before we get into the story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So, homelessness for me is a place where you don't have your own home, you don't have your own space to call home, you don't have your own little place where you come back after a long day and where you feel safe and loved. So, it's not always means not having a physical home, but much more than that.
Yeah. You're currently an advocate for homelessness, and I do believe you have a TV special coming up. Did you want to talk a little bit about that before we dig deeper into your background?
Yes, absolutely. So my upcoming TV special is for Trajectory TV and it's called Beyond Victimhood, Stories of Survival and Empowerment. And it's about there's going to be five amazing panelists. And, although from different backgrounds, from different cultures, they have gone through different traumas in their life, we all have a common demeanor in the story, and that is being in a victim mentality at some point, expecting the world to save us instead of realizing we are the ones to take responsibility for our own life and make it a happier one. And yeah, we're gonna be sharing our stories. We're going to be sharing what we have survived and how we found ourselves in that victim mentality energy. And then we're gonna move on to the empowerment part. So what helped us get out of that mindset? What tools did we use to help ourselves? And also, what's the message of empowerment we want to share with someone who might be struggling with this victim mentality mindset?
Wow, that sounds like a powerful show. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm happy to share the link. And yeah, it will be very powerful because, I believe victim mentality is also really common and it is part of one's healing journey. And if it's recognized, then the steps could be taken to overcome that. And once you do, oh my goodness, there is such a new level of life. I have experienced it, and I'm really grateful for myself to allowing myself to realize that I was playing victim in my own story, and grateful as well for ability to overcome that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You are incredible. Could you share a little bit more about your childhood environment and what led up to this victim mentality that you had for a while?
Absolutely. I grew up in a dysfunctional family. My father has left us when I was about 6 years old, and up to that point, yeah, he was an alcoholic. He sexually abused me when I was little, and there was there was very weird dynamics in the family. So we used to live in a block of flat, like very briefly, on the top floor, and then on the middle floor, my father's parents lived, my grandparents. And, as soon as my mom became single, the grandparents started spreading lots of rumors about her in my school and or around neighborhood, trying to make her like the one who did something wrong that my father has left us. And I grew up in a very stressful environment, and loads of shouting. I used to spend holidays away from my mom by the seaside with her mom, with my grandma, and it wasn't a very grandma vibes, if you know what I mean. She wasn't very warm. So I grew up not knowing about emotions, not knowing how to freely express my emotions. I was always bullied and mocked for being emotional, and because I was always different, I was, different to other members in my family. And yeah, growing up in such toxic environment, and what I mean by toxic, I mean like it was very inconsistent. It was very confusing. It was really uncomfortable at times. And growing up in such environment, and my family modeling this family dynamics to me, I ended up in a marriage with a narcissist. So because of my upbringing, I had no idea, like what were boundaries, what what do I look out for? How do I know that someone is trying to take advantage of me? Because I never had any honest conversations with my caregivers growing up. I didn't know what to look out for and how to protect myself. And also because I am on an autism spectrum, I am much more vulnerable than others when it comes to that. So, my brain doesn't always pick up on social cues and stuff. And because I never had any experience with boys, and I thought if there is a man who wants to marry me, who wants to be with me, that I have to agree to marry the first person that was showing interest in me, because in my beliefs I wouldn't get any better than that. So if there was one, I should just take him, and because there might never be another one wanting to be with me, right? So that's how I end up marrying a narcissist who only used me for his own benefits, to have a visa to stay in the country. And yeah, that's I feel like it's so important to bring awareness to that your upbringing, your childhood plays a crucial, essential role in how you're going to turn up later as a grown up, and like what core beliefs and how much confidence you're gonna have in yourself.
Wow. What were some of the early signs in your relationship, now that you're looking back, that you found concerning, now that you have had, you know, an awareness of what healthy relationships and what boundaries are? What can you look back and say, that was a warning sign. I wish I had seen it or known at the time?
Yes, so even though I have seen the signs very early into my relationship, before I even got pregnant, before I even got married, um because I am a very honest person and I am an excellent communicator, somehow, growing up in such an environment, I still managed to grow up as a, excellent communicator and a very honest person. Um, I would always bring everything up to the table to my ex-husband, because, it was important for me to communicate if I had any worries. And when I was with a relationship with him, um, I experienced loads of anxiety that was really, the source of it was unknown to me. And I've never ever felt things like that in my body until I met my ex. So I would always bring everything to him. And then, the more open and honest I was, the more I was explaining to him how things were making me feel. He knew how to manipulate me, how to play that game, so I could feel safer around him, but he could still get the benefits that he needed from me. So the first signs that I've noticed, like a bit later on, were, I realized that his passport was saying completely different date of birth to what he told me. I realized that he was doing some kind of money laundry stuff, that he was trying to get me involved in that, something involving like bank accounts and like various people opening bank accounts. Have no idea what for, because he never like shared more details with me. Probably, he knew I might report him at some point, because he knew how honest I was always. But yeah, there were things like that. Or if he would ask me to withdraw some money for him, and he would tell me, if you go to the bank with your daughter in a pram, nobody would make any be suspicious of you when you have a little baby with you. And like, now when I look back to things like that, it is so alarming. I would never even go near a man like this right now, and I've done it many years before, and I had a child with this man, and I trusted him. So, it is really alarming to me now. But also some of the other things that I know now is because the mindset that he had, the agenda, if you will, it was purely, for the interest of his visa, for the interest of his money, for the interest of, how he can grow thanks to me, thanks to my status, thanks to my, situation, and not how he can support myself and his own child. So I realized, we don't spend time as a family anymore. If he was off for 3 days in a row, he would only spend a couple of hours of quality time with us on the last day. Like everything else and everyone else was always before us. And if I tried to bring it up somehow, I would be met with gaslighting and twisting everything around to make me believe that maybe I am the problem. Maybe I'm such a, unworthy person to spend time with my husband, that, like, he doesn't even like me. He doesn't even want to spend time with me. He doesn't want to take me out. He doesn't want anything to do with me. And I started believing that it was actually my own fault. So one day, one beautiful day, I realized I am carrying the same story of my mom and her marriage with my father. And, and so on and so on. So I realized that I'm repeating the same cycle that was happening within my family, like the same cycle of abuse. And that was the moment when I said, I actually don't want to carry this on anymore.
Good for you. Can you walk us through those first days after you left, after you decided no more, you're going to break the cycle of abuse?
Yes, absolutely. So originally, I didn't plan to become homeless, and I am sure that no one ever does plan to become homeless. But once I sent that intention that I don't want to carry this abuse anymore, I want to be free from that, I don't want to repeat the same cycle, and I don't want my child to have to learn these dynamics, and I don't want her to grow up like this just for the sake of having two parents, something that I didn't have growing up. I put it on a scale, and I realized that it's much more important for her to grow up in a healthy environment, even if that means only with one parent. So once I ended up the relationship with my husband, we still lived quite close to each other, and the more boundaries I've been setting up with him, the more I've been realizing that it's extremely difficult to communicate with him. It's difficult to co-parent with him. He's trying to do every single thing on this planet to jeopardize the, a little relationship that we had going on. And he's just trying to put obstacles on my way all the time. So when he became more dangerous in terms of trying to hack my phone, hack my bank accounts, trying to kind of scare me a little bit, or like show me what kind of power he and his friends have, how they can, control not just my life, but, like my devices, my finances and stuff like that. I decided to confess in my friend what was happening and how exactly my marriage and my relationship looked like. And she told me that it was very, very dangerous for me to stay where I was on my own with a little child, and that I should definitely go to the police and at least get some sort of advice from them what to do in this situation. So I made an appointment. I went, and they told me that this is a domestic violence situation, and and I am in danger, and the longer I stay there, the more in danger me and my daughter were. So like I knew where to go. To be honest, like, I know deep inside I was actually waiting for a green light for me to leave that place, to go somewhere else, because, to have a fresh start. So as soon as they told me that you should definitely flee and you should move out of there, you should, pack your stuff and go, I went home and I did it. I packed my stuff. I knew I could stay with a friend and in a, different part of the country where I lived before I met him. I knew, like, at the beginning it's gonna be fine, and then, my plan was to come back for all my furniture, come back for all of my stuff, um you know release the flat that I was in at that time, and then once I find the flat over there. So unfortunately, nothing worked to this according to that plan. I ended up staying for a few weeks with that friend. Then I turned to local authorities for help, and they turned me away. So after a few weeks, I got a job in the office, and then they have told me I was able to seek a free legal advice for that job, and I was told that no, local authority, they have the duty to help me, especially if I have a child who was born in this country. So I went back there. I told them, I knew my rights. I understood that they need to help me. After a few phone calls, couple of minutes of wait, the person from that office came back and said, yes, we've got a bed and breakfast booked for you. So for the next few months, we were placed in various bed and breakfasts with, in various areas of that town. And at the end, there was a family hostel. And to be honest, even though the help that we received was it was a lot, because we had a roof over our heads, even though, and I'm extremely grateful for this, but I would love to highlight that services like that, they have scoring system. And at first I was refused to be taken into a refuge, which was, like a very safe, secured place for families escaping domestic violence and all sorts of dangerous situations, because we scored too low, because my abuse was not severe enough for them for their scoring system to be able to help me and my little child. So imagine I didn't have that friend to stay for the first few weeks or days. We would definitely be on the street. And I also want to bring awareness that being homeless, it doesn't only mean living on a street. It means, you know, you don't have, like I said at the beginning, you don't have your safe space to call home. You don't have your own private roof over your head. So even though we were placed in those various bed and breakfast places, and we were offered help, help to find a suitable place for us after we we finished being homeless, we leave the family hostel. The help that was available was not in the best interest of myself and my daughter. It was more in a way that this is what we can give you, take it and be grateful, and don't question anything. So I said to myself, I have gone, you know, I am already here. I have gone through all of that. I have overcame that. And so I am not going to settle for less. So I have refused the property that they were offering me. And I said, I'm going to find something on my own. So I did. And the property was much better. But yeah, you know, if I didn't know my rights, if I didn't set boundaries with them, I might have ended up, you know, in a much worse place than I did. But because I took responsibility and I said no, I'm gonna do it. You know, we got a nicer place, and you know, being in that situation when you are homeless, when you can't just go into your own house, you can't freely express yourself because, you know, there was constant CCTV cameras on the corridors. You had to be back at certain point. You know, it was like I was there because I was escaping domestic violence. So it was such a horrible moment of my life. And I felt like we were prisoners, like we were monitored, we were being checked, we were being, you know, like we have done something wrong just because we asked for help, just because someone said, yeah, okay, we can help you a little bit, we can give you the roof over your head, but you know, at what cost? So as soon as we moved into our flat, all of the symptoms of PTSD started appearing in me, started, you know, transpiring, and it completely took over my life because I felt like I was placed in a container, you know, like a glass box in a safe place, but then, you know, the walls were crushing me because, you know, so many things started, you know, started having so many flashbacks. I started realizing what exactly I have gone through because I finally had a bit of a quiet time to, you know, to sit and think because the homelessness part was over. The, you know, we found that flat. You know, I had to let go of my furniture. I could only bring a few bags with me. Um, so, you know, like I was starting everything completely from scratch and in a new area. Um, and it was very lonely and it really got to me. So yeah, it was very difficult.
Yeah. So when we have PTSD or PTSD symptoms, that can be life changing, not just for ourselves, but for our children. So you had a young child. What was it like caring for her? And then what was the healing journey like as you came out of or started to recognize and heal your PTSD symptoms?
Mm. Oh, caring for my child was That was actually the easiest thing to do because I am very passionate about being a mom.
Mm.
And if I could just be a mom without having to do anything else, oh my gosh, it would be such a beautiful life. But um, yeah, I feel like, my daughter, if I didn't have her, I would probably, I don't know if I would still be here. So knowing that this little person, she relies on me, she trusts me with her life. She was only 3 at that time, but so I tried to explain to her as much as I could possibly, that we are moving away because we need to be safe. We were not safe, but explain it to a 3-year-old, right?
Right.
So I just, having spending time with her was something that was bringing me so much joy. And when she was in preschool, I was mainly at home because having had that PTSD, I was unable to go to work, so I was off sick constantly. And so when she was with me, I could actually smile, I could laugh, I could just take my mind off things. But at the same time, it was also difficult because sometimes I just wanted to lie down, look in the ceiling, and be left alone. Nobody touch me, nobody look at me, nobody talk to me. Um, I was drowning in that depression. So at times it was also difficult. Um, but yeah, I think like, well, I deeply believe that however that journey was unfolding for me, that's how I was meant to go through that journey. That's all the points in that journey were little lessons for me there to learn something about myself. And it was extremely difficult. I'm not going to lie. And a very eye-opening moment in my healing journey was, it was about a year after we have escaped, and after all of those things that happened with us being homeless and having to find this flat. And so that was when the pandemic has started. And I mm, I was so down and I was so hopeless that I started planning how to end my own life. I started thinking of ways, how could I do it quickly? How can I, go fast and painless so that I could just end this suffering? And as soon as I started thinking about that, there was this wave of hope. I can't even describe it. Something came through me, and I saw this visualization of, it was like someone just played this quick video in my head, and I have seen myself and in like very powerful moments in of my life, and I could see that I have so much quality that I can bring into this world, that it's not possible for me to end my life like this is not the end of my journey, and I was made for much greater things. And that pain that I was feeling at that time, that it was a catalyst for something beautiful. And from that pain, I could just feel that, I will give birth into something so beautiful. So I was sobbing my eyes out because, the thought of me, it was like I stood next to myself and I was looking at myself from a different perspective. And, and I was sobbing because the thought of me losing me, like going from this planet, it made me so sad because I thought, oh my goodness, how bad, how sad you must feel. And like I tried to hug myself as tightly as I could. And I said to myself, okay, we are going to bring you back. And I don't know who showed me this video, like, the images in my head, whether that was my guardian angel. But yeah, that was a catalyst for me to start that healing process and connect with my power and connect with my beautiful spiritual gifts as well. And yeah, and then find myself once more and rediscover my purpose and rediscover my sparkle and my superpower. And today, I'm so happy and I'm so proud to say that, yes, I did. I survived and I overcame that. And today I help people from all around the world, to be honest. I help them to find their hope and rediscover their sparkle, but also, understand where it all comes from, because without understanding, you cannot forgive, you cannot move on, you cannot heal without understanding what has happened to you and why it happened to you. And yeah, I am so fortunate to have been able to turn my biggest pain into my superpower right now.
Thank you. That is amazing. And we are so happy that you made a different decision and that you took your power back. And I do believe there may have been some therapy in there as well. I think that therapy and finding your spirituality, guardian angel, I like to say perhaps God did it. Whatever it was, I'm so very thankful that you received that message and you embraced it. I would love for you to share with us where we can find you, not just on the show, if you have services that help people who may be going through similar situations or other types of trauma, share those resources with us. We'd love to know.
Absolutely. So the show, the special for Trajectory TV, is going to air on the 16th of November at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 7 p.m. in the UK. And yeah, that's gonna be on YouTube on E360 TV or Trajectory TV. And I'm gonna be hosting this, and I am extremely excited. And also, yes, like you said, right, of course, therapy was involved in my healing process and various types of therapies. And that also prompted me to become one. So I am a holistic coach and a holistic therapist. And I do have services, coaching services, and I do have a coaching slash therapy program course, therapy group, therapy sessions. And you can find all of my details on my website, which is mamafromthemoon.co.uk. And everything is there. You can get in touch with me. Link to all my social media is there, a little bit about me. And also there is a free webinar about surviving toxic slash emotionally unavailable parents. So that is also very much connected to myself, overcoming domestic violence, domestic abuse, which my childhood led to, right? So it's all connected. It all shapes up this bigger picture and helps you make much more sense of what could have happened and why some things happened in your life the way they did. So highly encouraging you to check my website, and if there is anything you'd like to ask, you can get in touch. I'm always open for new conversations and new connections.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I've checked out her site. She has incredible, incredible resources. Childhood trauma and the things we carry through adolescence, it 100% shapes everything we do as adults. And I think it's important that we all take a look back at our inner child and see if we've healed And so thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for making the connection. Thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to your new show.
Thank you so much, Gabby, for inviting me, but also for creating this beautiful and safe space where people can talk about their experience in being homeless, and also for bringing awareness to homelessness, because it's very much needed. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Before we go, I want to invite you to be a part of our mission to create lasting change. Visit www.formybonuschild.org/whenIwashomeless to download our interactive anthology, also titled When I Was Homeless. It's available as a free resource or for a pay what you wish, tax-deductible donation. Your support directly helps provide long-term housing solutions for families in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties this holiday season. On the website, you'll find everything from this episode's show notes and ACA's information to enrichment activities and discussion questions. If you or someone you know has a story to share, there's an interest form right on the site. We'd love to hear from you. For a visual experience, catch our animated version on YouTube at When I Was Homeless, where we share exclusive behind the scenes content and interactive tools. Join us next Tuesday for another powerful story, wherever you get your podcasts. Together, we can make a difference, one story at a time.